God's grace and His mercy are yours, given to you through the work of Jesus Christ, our living Lord, who says, because He lives, you will live by His side in eternity. Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, well, welcome to the sixth and last episode of our sermon series, It's a Miracle. And today we are ending with the crescendo. Up to this point, we have seen Jesus feed people, and we have seen Jesus provide for people, making water into wine with just His word. We have seen Jesus heal people, leprosy, paralysis, with just His word. All of that is great. All of that helps us today, but this is the miracle that helps for eternity. This is the granddaddy of them all. This is the one that only God can do, but the fact that He does it changes everything, and that is the fact that He raises someone from the dead. Today we are going to meet three people in our miracle, and this is another one of those miracles where we get two for the price of one. So we're going to be looking at two miracles in one episode, and you're going to meet three different people along the way. We don't know the names of any one of these people. We haven't been given the names. God doesn't say it's important for us to know their names. But these are three real people that lived and three real people that walked this earth. First person you're going to meet, well, he's a frantic father. You're going to meet a frantic father who goes through all these different emotional changes. What starts with desperation, then has hope. That turns into grief. That turns into shock until utter joy. We're going to meet a hurting woman who was desperate for help that no one could give, a hurting woman that was embarrassed with what was happening to her, a hurting woman who felt dirty and unloved, but then the same woman has her whole life changed because of Jesus. Third person we're going to meet is a 6th grade girl, 12-year-old girl, 6th grader. And she is asked to do the unimaginable for her Lord and for you. And that's all recorded for us in our text today. So let's jump right into it. Because in our text today, while we meet these three people, we get to see our Lord. You get to see your Lord in action, Jesus at work. And this is a great text and a great miracle for us to end our sermon series on. It's a miracle. So please feel free to follow along. We're going to go to Luke chapter 8. And we're going to jump right into it here. This is what I call the second lap of Jesus' ministry. He is now at the pinnacle and the height of His popularity, and you'll see it recorded for us here. The first lap of His ministry was getting known and getting His disciples, and the third lap of His ministry was when all those disciples, all these people that followed Him, drifted away and melted away. So it was just Him, His Father, and the cross. But here's the second one, the second lap of His three-lap ministry, where He is at the height of His popularity. Thousands of people are watching and waiting for Him. Thousands of people are following Him. He is the Lord, and they cannot get enough of Him. So our text, if you want to follow along, jumps right into this. Now when Jesus returned, Jesus is on the move here, a crowd welcomed Him. So there's a crowd, a huge crowd, waiting for Him, for they were all expecting Him. Now, you can understand why. Jesus is a walking lotto ticket. If you get close to Him, well, He might heal you from your leprosy. If you get close to Him, He might heal you from your disease. If you get close to Him, He might feed you for free tonight. If you get close to Him, He might answer your prayers, and all the things that you were afraid of, all the things that were hindering you, with just a look, a touch, a word, it'd be fixed for you. He's a walking lotto ticket, and you want to get close to Him for that. Jesus wants to get close to these people so that He can teach them. So here you can understand why these people are waiting for Him. I hope He does something great. Well, now we meet our first man, a frantic father. And this father doesn't care about disease. He cares about his daughter. Then a man named Jairus, a ruler of the synagogue, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with Him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl of about 12, was dying. You can, in just those verses, you can feel this man's desperation. This man does not care how he looks. He is not eloquent, and he doesn't care what he says. He knows, even though he's the ruler of a synagogue, he has been taught, and he has taught, that God will only help you if you help yourself. God will only help you and heal you if you do something good for God. He has abandoned all that because he knows that Jesus has the power to heal the sick. Jesus has the power, and I don't know how, but he has healed people. And I have a daughter that is dying, a 12-year-old, 6th grade girl, only girl, and she's dying, and I am desperate. And I will do anything, say anything. So as soon as I see this man come in the horizon, I'm going to run up to him, and I'm going to fall at his feet, and I'm just going to plead with him, please, you got to come to my house. You got to put your hands on her. I am desperate. I cannot do anything. The doctors can't do anything. The nurses can't do anything. Whatever it is beyond our help, but you have the power. If you come to my house, you have the power to put your hands on her, and you have the power to heal her because you've done it in the past. Please, Lord, please do this for me. And he went, and Jesus went. And you can imagine the joy that is going on in Jairus' mind, can't you? Can you imagine that? You run up to him, and you beg with him, and you plead with him, please heal my daughter I love so much. And he says, okay, show me the way. Lead me. And you go. Oh, man, did I come at just the right time? Oh, if we get back to my house, it's down the road, we might have a shot at this. We might have a shot if we hustle. We got to hustle. Well, here we go. The crowd is so big that there's a woman that takes advantage of this huge crowd. As they were on his way, as Jesus was on his way to this man's house to heal this one, a crowd almost crushed him. Almost like you're taking a can, instead of stomping on the can. Imagine when you go home, the same word that's used here in Greek is the same word that if you take that empty can and squeeze it and crush it with your hands, that's the word that's been happening to Jesus. There are so many people wanting to be around him and touch him that he feels like he's being crushed. Imagine how big of a crowd that must be. Imagine how close you must be. Well, that's what's happening. And a woman was there, and she's taking advantage of this. Now, this woman, we don't know the name of it, she is a woman that you can imagine does not like being in crowds. She doesn't like the spotlight being on her. She is a woman that is taking advantage of all these people, trusting in Jesus, but wants to quietly go up to Jesus and get healed. Well, let's see what's ailing her. A woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for almost 12 years, and no one could heal her. This, no doubt, is a menstrual type of bleeding. And this menstrual bleeding doesn't just stop in 3, 4, 5 days like the natural body does. This is a constant bleeding for 12 years. Always. So what would life be like with that? She'd be low on her iron because of her constant blood loss. She would be always worried about cleanliness. She would be made to feel dirty. She would be made to feel like she did something wrong, right? Because God would strike her with something so embarrassing, she must have done something wrong. She's out of money because she has tried to go and get things healed and get things fixed. No doctor can fix it. But she trusts and she knows that Jesus can maybe do this. If I only go and get close to him, just touch him, then maybe I can get healed. So you can imagine, here's a woman that is outcast of society. Something is wrong with her, she feels. Something is wrong with her. She is being told she has done something to God, and not to mention that she continues to bleed and bleed for 12 years, not 12 days. Ladies, imagine having a period for 12 days. How about 12 weeks? How about a year? How about 12 years? That's what is going on in this woman's life. You can imagine why she discreetly comes up to Jesus to try to get healing. Well, she takes advantage of the crowd. She came up behind him, and she touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus said. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." But Jesus said, "No, someone has touched me, and I know that power has gone out from me." You know what Jesus is doing here? He wants to have that face-to-face conversation with this woman. He wants to assure her and tell her things she has never been told in her life. He wants to treat her like a father would talk to a daughter, because that's exactly what we have here. Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know the power has gone from me." Then the woman, seeing that She could not go unnoticed, came trembling, and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, daughter, daughter, not a woman, not her name, a daughter. What a wonderful thing to hear from Jesus, right? That you're my son. You're my daughter. That's how I feel and I care about you. Your faith has healed you. Now, go in peace. A great lesson for us here is, I hope you never feel too dirty to talk to Jesus. I hope you don't feel too ashamed to talk to Jesus. I hope that anything happening to you physically, mentally, or in your life is worthy to talk to Jesus about. He's not going to get grossed out. He's not going to get grossed out at your past. He's not going to get offended at what you have done. He wants to hear. And you know what you'll hear? You'll hear, daughter, son, your faith has healed you. Okay, put your mind in Jairus now. What are you thinking? You, again, are on a time and a short time, aren't you? Remember, I need to get you into my daughter's bedroom where she is dying by the minute. Time is of the essence. What are we doing screwing around with these people? Something more pressing is happening. You know, that's great, but I need to get you. You can't be in my daughter's room at the same time that you are here helping these people. I need help. I need help right now. What I need is much more important than the things that you seem to be doing over there. If I'm Jairus, I'm thinking, this is the man that can help. We got to hurry. Quit screwing around with this. My daughter is dying, and if she's dead, well, that's it. There's nothing you can do. Well, verse 49. While Jesus was still speaking, someone came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue ruler, and said the words that no parent wants to hear, especially Jairus. Your daughter is dead. While this was going on, while Jesus was healing this woman, your daughter has died. He said, don't bother to teach her anymore. You know, the surgeon can't do anything more about this. Jesus can't do anything more about this situation. We had our chance. The window of opportunity was there, and, you know, life got around, and therefore Jesus wasn't able to do what you needed him to do. Hearing this, Jesus said to Jairus, maybe to Jairus the most cruel words you could ever hear. Don't be afraid. Just believe, and she'll be healed. You know, how absurd. What are you talking about? She'll be healed. She's dead. Dead people don't come back to life. People don't just shake that off and say, okay, I was dead, but, you know, all right, you put some water on me and I'm good now. It doesn't happen that way. Dead people stay dead. They always have. So for Jairus, this must have been a cruel, cruel thing to say because it made no sense. Jesus can heal, but to do something about death, powerless. When he arrived at the house of Jairus, he did not let anyone go with him except Peter, James, and John, the future leaders of the church, and the child's father and mother. Obviously, this father and mother, when they walk in, are shocked. This would be the first time they saw, or at least the father would have seen his dead daughter, with shock. And he'd be weeping, and he'd probably fall to his knees. Fathers, you can only imagine walking into the room and seeing your child. Meanwhile, all the people, you can imagine aunts, uncles, neighbors, friends, nurses, some sort of doctor nearby, they were wailing and mourning for her. And Jesus says now something absurd to them. What? Stop wailing. Stop crying. Well, that's the natural thing. When people die, you naturally cry. That's one of the things that the body does when they're sad. You feel the tightness in your throat. You feel your eyes starting to get emotional and leak because your body is reacting to this. This is how the human body naturally... And Jesus says, stop wailing like you have no hope. He's not saying that, stop crying. He invented tears. But stop wailing like you have no hope. Why? She's not dead, but asleep. See what Jesus is doing here? He's messing with them. He's saying things to them in a way that they don't fully understand. How is this woman sleeping? She has no pulse. Her heart isn't beating. She's getting cold. This is what dead people do. She has all the signs of being dead. We know what dead people look like, and she is dead. She's not asleep because we've seen people take naps. And you're coming in here, but Jesus is just messing with them. playing with him. Where is your faith? What do you think I can do around here? Do you really think I'm a God that just heals and gives you free food? Do you really think I'm a God that just heals you from your cancer? Or am I bigger than that? How big do you claim that I am? And, of course, they laughed at him. Dead, asleep. Of course she's dead. They laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. But he took her by the hand, and he simply said, "My child, get up." Her spirit returned, and at once she stood up. And then Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were astonished, but he ordered them not to tell anyone what had happened. How do you feel about this text? How do you feel about hearing that? You know, what's going on? Are you astonished? Maybe you're thinking, you know what? That's great. That is great that Jairus got his daughter back. You know, I wish that would have happened to me. I wish that would happen to me when I had to go say goodbye to my parents. When I had to go say goodbye to my grandma and grandpa. If any of you had ever had the terrible experience of having to bury a child or go to a funeral of a child, and that casket is way too small for the situation because that child is way too small for this situation, boy, it would have been real nice. Been real nice to have that here. So what does this have to do with you and me? Well, I'll tell you what this has to do with you and me. In this text, you get to see Jesus at work again. You get to see God at work doing things that only God can do with simple words. You've been seeing it this whole past 6 weeks. You've seen with just simple words, Jesus changing the molecules of water and changing them in a way that no human being can do and changing them instantly into wine. Because that's what God thinks about you. That's how God cares about you. Cares about even the little things in your life. You've seen Jesus with just a simple word heal people from their sins. Telling this man that their sins are forgiven. Reversing all the things that should have happened to us. Because of sin, we should be destined for hell forever. But because of Jesus' commands, we're washed clean. You've seen Jesus with just a simple word fix a man who was paralyzed. Not with physical therapy, with just his words. You've seen Jesus that didn't even say any words cleanse people from their leprosy, something that is incurable. And today, with simple words, you see Jesus as the commander over death. You see, what we have here, we have a situation where God is showing us, Jesus is showing us just a little snippet, a little preview of what is going to happen to each one of us. You know, I put on, I'm in the one that's putting out the Instagram stuff and the social media stuff. And nowadays you can put out like entire sermons. You can put out previews of it. That's what Jesus is showing you, a little preview of what is waiting for all of us. You see, we have a Lord that is powerful over the weather and has given us this beautiful day. We have the Lord that's powerful over disease. You have a Lord that's powerful over things of science. And we also know and we worship the Lord that is powerful over death. And what he is showing you is this is what it's going to be like for you. There will be a day that you close your eyes to this world, but you will hear Jesus whisper saying, get up, because he has power over death. And we instantly will be alive with him in heaven forever. So the other thing I want to show you about this text is this woman, this 6th grade girl. You know, what was amazing about her? If you think about it, she got to go home to heaven. I don't know if it was a disease, whatever it was that this man Jairus needed Jesus to heal from her, took her life. And she was asked by Jesus to come back down to this earth, to show you the power that he had over death. She had to live in this earth one more time. She had to be tempted every day until finally she had to taste death again. What a wonderful service. What a wonderful way to worship God by having this 6th grade girl say, yeah, I'll go back down for you, so that people can know your power, so that you can do and show your glory through me. She had to die again. She's at the Lord's side again. And we look at that as a constant reminder for us that we have a life of service here on this earth. The Lord is asking us to do things until we get to go home to heaven forever. But when we do and we think about our death, we think about Jesus' words and his power, the power that he has over the words of death. Next time you go into a cemetery, next time you go into a funeral home, you might hear words that I hope you never hear. And that is, someone will come up to you and your family and say, before we close the casket, I want you to say your final goodbyes. Has anybody ever said that to you? Has anybody ever come up to you and said that? They're kind-hearted, they mean well, but I wish someone would just put those words back in their mouth. Because of Jesus' words, we don't ever have to say goodbye to somebody. We don't ever have to say our last goodbyes to somebody. Instead, we can go up to them and say, see you soon. Because of Jesus, we get to see them soon. Sometimes you'll hear nurses or doctors, and they'll say things like, well, it looks like we're going to lose them to cancer. I've lost my aunt to cancer. Because of Jesus' words, you haven't lost anybody. In fact, Jesus has saved them. Because of Jesus' words, you are going to defy death. Because of Jesus' words, you will spend eternity in heaven. Because of Jesus' words, you can laugh at death and know that that, in fact, is the key to your heavenly birthday where you can be with him forever. Because of Jesus' words, we have all of those things waiting for us. Let's go to Jesus. Let's end our sermon study here. Let's end our sermon series here. Go to Jesus, the one that is in charge of death, and speak to him in prayer. Lord Jesus, of all the fears that surround us in our lives, the fear of death and the fear of going to witness someone's death surely must be the worst of them all. But today, Lord, you showed us your power over a 12-year-old girl who was really dead, but because of you, was really alive. And that gives us hope now because we know that this is what you will do for us. We know that you are death's master. Help us to believe that, Lord. Change our doubt into faith. Change our fear into hope. And let us share this hope with anyone we can. Lord, thank you for what you have done and the hope that you give for all eternity. In your name we pray. Amen.